Hi, I'm Kyle, and on this episode of the MWA podcast, Sean, Mark, and I are asking Elizabeth Weber the 5 question. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out her interview on episode 539. So welcome back to the show, Elizabeth.
Thanks for having me.
It's been fantastic time. So before we get into the 5 questions, we do have a little woodworking news. First up, the Element Travisher. It's by our friend Jason Gallagher, who's been on the podcast a number of times. And this is a new Travisher that looks excellent. It is more to be used with the palms instead of the fingertips. That's one of the things when he was designing this, to be easier to use and not, not overwork your fingertips too much. But one of the things that I think is very interesting is instead of a curved blade, this one actually has a heavily cambered straight blade on it that is actually bevel up, which is kind of interesting.
I think it's bevel down.
I mean, bevel down, sure.
Yeah, if you're looking at the bottom of the, yeah.
I'm sorry, bevel down. Yeah. Yes, you're exactly right.
Share nerds, go on.
Yes. But,
you got to get your bevel on the right side of the Travisher, man.
Hey. Yeah. But yeah, it looks to be a very cool design. I'm very interested in it. And, just to, we might have him on in a couple of months to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the sole is 4 1/4 inch radius. So it's pretty interesting. I think it can be used for a lot of interesting things, especially chair saddling, both the, the more flat parts as well as the more curved parts. So kind of interesting.
Absolutely. Looks very
nice
good.
tool.
I'd like to see it in use.
Yes.
In the hand.
I think his Instagram account, Galag J, would probably have some videos.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll have a link to this, and he does have a bunch of videos up there. And the one thing is, it's $380, so it's a little bit cheaper than some of the other ones on the market. I would think if this performs as well as it looks, then now might be the time to buy, because that price might go up in the future, I would think.
All right.
But it is a beautiful tool. Looking forward to seeing the reviews on this. And I think he's open right now for pre-orders, and I think they will be shipping out in about 3 months from the pre-order. So
Well, we all look forward to your review when you get yours, Kyle.
we might make a trade. He's been interested in a couple of things I got.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
All
We'll see what
right.
happens. Yeah.
New exclusive Kyle produced Ember chair jigs in trade for the Ember tool. Wonderful.
Element Travisher, yes.
Element Travisher.
Yeah. So check that out. It looks to be a nice piece of kit for fellow chair makers out there.
It really does.
And next up is Rockler has a new power jaw clamp.
This is not a power tool. It's just got power
clamp.
word in the name. Yes.
Yes.
When I saw that, I was like a pneumatic clamp? Or?
It's kind of interesting. It's like a F-style clamp, but it's very short, and I think it has a screw on the back that closes both of the jaws, but it's very low profile, It's kind of interesting. Anyway, it's like 6.5 inches long, and it has like 300 pounds of clamping pressure. So it would be great to, hold things against,
fences and jigs.
And stuff like that. Like if you're using a crosscut sled or something like that to hold your piece in place. It looks like a interesting thing, and it's $15. So I don't know. Yeah. I might have to check.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out like if I would want it. You know what I mean?
The one thing that interests me is on the back side, it has a 5x16 inch threaded insert. So you could actually mount this thing. So there's a lot of interesting things. I wish it was 1/4-20, but
yeah, just one size up, 5/16.
Well, you could get an adapter. It's not a big deal. I mean, these are common camera type attachment. So you could definitely get an adapter to convert it over to a 1/4x20. But yeah, so that that lends all kinds of things that you could use this for.
For sure. Mark, I think I know what, like, kind of how you're seeing it. Like it's kind of an opposite operation to a clamp, where you're going down the length of it and twisting to tighten it, but it's pretty much a doorknobby kind of like tightening system.
Yeah.
And that does a parallel squeeze down below It's interesting. I don't know where
Yeah.
the 300 pounds of force comes from. Physics, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know.
Moment arms.
Yeah.
Sean.
Yes.
Moment
yes.
arms.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a twist lock on a router for like the depth adjuster, right? You
Yeah,
turn
I
it a
guess.
quarter
Yep, in
turn
that
and you
way.
can move it. So I'm thinking like where it would be useful for me would be like I would get it in. I would set it to a specific opening where I was doing a lot of repetitive, like take a part out, turn a part over, and so then you could just slip the thing on and do a quarter turn and it's locked. It's a lot more versatile than that. I mean, yeah, I think it's one of these things. It's like I bet if I played with it for a little while, I could find some really handy little spots to use it. They're showing it as like just a light clamp, like they've got like Kyle was saying, they've got that threaded insert, and you can just screw an adjustable light into it and put it anywhere.
Yeah. It's got I think the maximum opening for the clamp is like 2 inches, and it's got a 3-inch depth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it'd be perfect for holding like a stop block in place or something like that. It'd be low profile.
It would be
better than using like a F-style clamp or something like that.
Yeah, it wouldn't ham on you and like come loose. And yeah, I think this is kind of like a put anywhere clamp. You just put it up where you need it, and they're showing all kinds of interesting uses for it on the site.
Yeah. The only bad thing is it's temporarily oversold until June of 2025. Actually, the end of June 2025.
Apparently, a lot of people thought they'd be
a lot of people like it.
Yeah. So apparently their first production run sold out rather quickly. So
sometimes they undershoot their
but you can still reserve yours today on their website.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Anyway,
it does seem like it like you said, it's like a put anywhere thing. I think of it more of a hold something on the end than hold something together.
I mean, once these come in stock, the next time I'm in a Rockler and it's like $15, I'm gonna pick one up.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a no-brainer. So anyway, if
add them to the toolbox.
Exactly. Next up is Lost Art Press. They have, y'all don't know about this, but I know about it, is they have the warning flags for long loads. These are red warning flags. So normally when you're moving lumber or any long thing, you want to put a red flag on there. And I think traditionally lumber yards used to give you this nice red flag that you could put on your stuff. That went away probably sometime in the 80s.
That was just red plastic.
Yeah, the red plastic piece.
If you're that lucky.
And some roofing nails.
Yeah.
In a box.
100%.
Yeah, if you're that lucky. So this is more your traditional one. It's kind of got a little piece of metal on there where you can really attach it to your load, and has a nice little thing that says, if you can read this, it's probably too late. So
yes, I think this is brilliant.
It's brilliant. It's $21, and it's probably sold out as you read this.
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
But
if you get notified.
Yeah, I got notified because I subscribe to a Substack, the American Peasant, and if you're subscribed to that Substack, he actually said, "Hey, we just got these in. They're up on the store now. I'm going to announce it to the world on Friday." Well, apparently they're already sold out, so we'll see. But anyway,
this would be a good thing. You just buy this and save it for Christmas for next year.
Exactly.
Yep. There you
go. Definitely.
But it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. And, I'll probably pick one up. Unfortunately, by the time I got notified, it was sold out too. So
Phew, that's rough because you're on the early notification.
Yeah. I got early notification, There you go.
Substack didn't pay off for you that time. Darn.
No, it didn't. It didn't. Well, it probably would if I woke up earlier, but
It's too much. Too much.
Late night tool making sessions.
I'm a night person.
There you go.
With that, let's talk about our Patreon shout out. So who do we have to thank this week?
Yeah, we always like to give those shout outs to our Patreon supporters. Today we're giving our shout out to, are we serious here? Seymour Butts. Anybody see more butts around here? Anybody? But hey, Seymour, I doubt that's your real name, but I appreciate it. If you would like to join Seymour in his support of our podcast, you please go to patreon.com/MWA540 and help.
Yeah. I actually have his real name, but I'm never going to use it.
No, don't do that.
I think is a worthy investment to get us to read that on a podcast.
Exactly.
I think we should have a different price point for fake names, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I read that.
No. More fake names, the better. So
Yeah,
there you
Yeah, I
go.
read that and I was like, is that serious? Like,
it is today.
It is for now. Somebody used it. That is
Another
linked to an account.
Simpsons fan out there. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is Simpsons like the longest running television show at this point?
Animated
it
at
is.
least.
This
Yeah.
is their last year, right?
Is it?
I think it is. Well, I
Oh.
thought I heard that. I don't know for sure.
I should
but
start watching the last decade or so because I stopped a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, my wife and I, having grown up in the '80s, it's a favorite. The kids grew up on Simpsons Monopoly and everything. They never watched it. They never knew what the hell it was about. But Simpsons Clue hits extra hard. They.
Yeah, well, our husband and I, or my husband and I, we had our wedding reception in the Knoxville Sun Sphere, and there's an episode in The Simpsons where the Sun Sphere is filled with wigs, and I was like, we should have like wedding gifts that are wigs, and my husband was like, terrible idea, and I was like, come on, The Simpsons.
That's awesome.
Yes, and the most predictive television show of all time too.
Yeah.
Well, they got a lot wrong, but you got to bring up when they get it right. So anyway,
It's the 1,000 monkeys theory, isn't it? Like, you have 40 years of ideas going around. You're bound to get something right here and there.
yes.
Mhm.
Well, with that, let's move on to the 5 questions. So, Elizabeth, what is your favorite tool? And as always, our limit is 23
23 what?
tools.
Oh, like, oh, okay. We can work with that. I was going to say my favorite tool is the lathe. Obviously, I need that to create the pieces that I make. Without it, I've got nothing, So the lathe is one of my favorite tools.
Now, what
lathe
are you rocking?
I am on a robust American Beauty, and so
I think
it's made in Wisconsin. But yeah, it's an American-made lathe. It runs really nicely. I can turn something up to 25 inches over the bed of the lathe. If I want to outboard, I can go up to 60 inches. So I have a lot of options with it, and it's really wonderful. So that's the lathe. And
I think
is that the name of the lathe, or are you just describing it?
No, that's
Robust American Beauty. That is the name. Yep. And then they have another one. What is that?
It's a modern lathe. It's available commercially.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I haven't heard of it before. So
well, when I was robust is it's probably the best one on the market. I don't know.
One of the best, because when I was at Anderson Ranch, I went into their lathe room and they had robust, one way, and Vic Mart. And I think a couple of yucky Powermatics. No comment.
But I got to work on the robust one, and
right.
It was I don't know what brand, what make. I don't know if it's an American Beauty or not, but it was fantastic to work with. Yeah,
really great. One way makes a really good lathe.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one? Vic Mark. That one doesn't have. Well, that one's good too. Ask any wood turner; they'll tell you what they think the best lathe is. Some people will say the Powermatics. It just depends. So you've got a different opinion.
I like, and I've seen the robust brand before. I forget who I watched on YouTube 8-10 years ago.
Yeah.
But the true, the name robust fits because those are hunks of steel. Like that is I have a little jet MIDI lathe.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing bounces all over the place. You're not shaking that thing loose. Like that is a solid, stable piece of equipment.
It's not going anywhere.
Of course. Which
if it's bouncing, you're in trouble.
Oh yeah, because you got
some
moments from inertia going around, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful machines.
They're great. So
how long's your bed on that one?
I think it's 48 inches. I have a bed extension, but I didn't. Did I put the bed extension? I can't remember. But it works. I don't think no, it's not 48. It could be 48.
Could be. Okay.
But it's shorter because I haven't really got. I thought I was going to do more spindle work, but I just never really got into the spindle work side of things, and so
that was my next question. Do you ever do spindle work? No.
Yeah.
Not really. No.
Yeah.
But is the design of that one where you can move the head down the rail?
You can, and that's one of the things that I like.
Yeah,
about
that's cool.
Headstock, because as you get older, your back isn't so good anymore, and so leaning over the bed of the lathe to turn can be really hard. And so I can move it down to the end of the bed of the lathe, and then I just stand up and I don't have to bend over anything. So it saves me a lot of wear and tear on my body. So I always encourage people, if they're looking to buy a lathe, to get a lathe that has a movable headstock so that, you know, they're not hurting themselves. It's not necessary, but it's a nice feature to have if you can get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get that on the end of the bed where you, like you said, you can stand and just work it instead of leaning to your right to move over it. I completely understand that. It's awesome.
Now, what's the optimum height of a lathe as far as to your body?
So people will tell you it is when you bend your elbow, what's that height from floor to elbow when you bend it? So that's the optimal height. But some people prefer it to be a little bit higher so they're not bent over so much. Some people like a little bit lower. It just depends. But the advice people will give you is when your
It's
elbow,
kind of like workbench height. Yeah, it depends. Yeah, because I did that. I made a nice stand for my lathe. I got actually, I was pleased to note in your demos, I got that same little jet thing with the extension, you know, the 12 variable speed thing, and I've used that for years, and it works great for me. But I built a nice stand, did the elbow height, and then I was like, it's too damn short.
Bring it up. Yeah,
bring it up.
You know, but I like the height. It works for me. But again, everybody's a little bit different. So.
But when I brought it up, it was very nice. You know, it's much more comfortable for me. But now the shavings are hitting me directly in the face when they come.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good. Sometimes things go flying, and it's like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh man.
All right. So any other favorite tool?
I like my carving gouges, so the traditional carving gouges, because when you have a sharp edge and it's cutting into the wood, just the sound coming off the tool, that it's so nice. But then, you know, if I want to work fast, then my power carver comes into play. But the downside to that is it makes a lot of noise and it kicks up dust. But again, if I want to work fast, I'm like, and so
this is a reciprocating power carver.
I have one of those, but I don't use it as often because it gets really hot in your hands. And so like, oh, this is uncomfortable to hold. And it also jiggles because the vibrations will actually push the tool along through the wood. So by the end of it, my hands are tingling and I'm like, okay.
Oh, no.
I need to stop that.
Yeah.
So I stick to more traditional carving gouges when I'm doing like simple textures. And then I'll go to the power carver if I'm doing something that's a little bit more elaborate, like the.
And that's a rotating.
Yeah, it's like a little handheld router. You know, it spins, and then you work against the rotation of the bit to get it to cut. So, well, it depends on right-handed or left-handed, but yeah.
And what's your favorite brand?
Master Carver Micro Pro, but they've got all sorts. You could get an NSK Presto for $2,500 if you want to treat yourself. No, but I'm it hurts, but
nice entry-level machine. Yes.
Yeah, right. I think I mentioned that during a demo in Arkansas, and this guy had showed me his NSK Presto the day before, and I said, well, you could really treat yourself, and I said what the price was, and you could see his wife look over like, excuse me. I was like, uh-oh, I think I just got somebody in trouble. He was like, no, don't, please. So no, I like something that's a little bit more moderately priced, and it has all the bells and whistles, and it works well for what I need. So I think it runs around 300 now. When I got it, it was 220. So yeah, it's not terrible. And then if we're looking at other tools, you all have been talking about Travishers and whatnot. I like the spoke shave. Always have. It's just a fun tool to just take shavings with, and when you get it just right, love it. I think I've got 25 in my basement right now, but
you're almost a chair maker.
Yeah, you're ready to start to think about making chairs.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two more spoke shaves.
Okay, I'll get on it. But yeah, those are my favorite tools for my shop and my work. Yeah.
Now, do you use draw knives at all in your spoon carving?
I have used them before, but they're not my absolute favorite. You know, an axe is really good to remove material. A draw knife is good if you need to take off a lot of material, but they're not my favorite. I love the spoke shave.
A little more fine.
Yeah.
Things can get out of hand on a spoon blank really fast if you're using a draw knife.
They can.
Well, they have those nice little cute draw knives now, you know.
Yes.
Little little ones.
Baby
like,
draw knives.
Yeah, baby draw knives.
Like I have one that's like this long, a little draw knife, and you just kind of pull it towards yourself. I'm like, this is cute. Where's my spoke shave?
Yeah. At that point, it's doing the same work, right? I mean,
right?
you're
Yeah.
not hogging off anything major. You just want
Yeah.
the right tool. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So next question: who has influenced you the most in your work?
So I have multiple people just based on the type of work that I do.
Sure.
And so for the more traditional type wood turning, I would say my biggest influence has been a guy in Ireland named Glenn Lucas, and he runs a wood turning school off of, like, he has 7 acres on his dad's farmland. And so he built a school there, really beautiful facility. But he was instrumental in me understanding, like when I went to school the first time, there were things in my head that weren't clicking with the wood turning, and I couldn't understand why certain things weren't working. And I did a 3-day workshop with him, and all of a sudden it was like, all the things I'd been struggling with. I was like, now I understand why I've been struggling so hard. And I left feeling more confident, and I knew what I needed to work on. And then I went back the next year, and I think there was a big improvement over when I was there first. But, he's really great at instruction, at helping you understand the tools, why something may not work. He's got extensive teaching experience. So when it comes to just, pure wood turning, he would be my biggest influence. Now, when it comes to the actual embellishing stuff, I talked a little bit about Meryl Salin in the previous podcast, where she was talking about coloring and texturing and finishing your pieces. And so she's the one who got me started with actually trying to carve on bowls and had me get curious about what was possible. And then another lady named Donna Banfield, I took a workshop with her, and she's the one whose workshop was, you need a power carver, you need a wood burner, and we're going to use all these different tools to embellish your piece of wood, see what works, what doesn't work. We'll play a little bit with color, but that she was instrumental in getting me started on these power carving tools, bringing power into the equation. And without her, I don't know quite where I'd be. So she was instrumental in starting that path forward for me. So those 3 people, I would say, are the biggest influences on my wood turning journey.
Very cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So on to the third question. What is your white whale?
So hopefully you won't think it's too weird. I want to make a dollhouse. I want to build a dollhouse.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, cool.
So the story behind this is my mom made a dollhouse for me when I was a little girl, but she bought one of the kits from like Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and it was a wood kit. And I just saw her like assembling the pieces and gluing everything together. And I was like, man, that's really cool. And I just loved playing with the dollhouse growing up. And I thought one day I'm going to make my own. And so I'd always look at kits when I was younger, like I'm going to buy one of these kits and I'm going to make my own dollhouse and I'm going to get the little pieces of furniture. But now that I've actually kind of gone into my own, like I know, understand how the tools work, and I do my own woodworking and wood turning, it's kind of like, well, I could actually make this from scratch. And I have plans for a Victorian style dollhouse sitting in my basement that my father-in-law actually gave me because I expressed interest in making a dollhouse. And he's like, oh, well, I have these. I don't think I'll ever build it, but if you're really wanting to do this, here you go. So now it's just a matter of me finding the time to sit down and actually start cutting pieces and assembling the pieces. And so that's yeah.
And you can get all those
Cool.
Veritas mini tools that they sell.
Yes, now I have a reason to buy more tools.
If you need to make dollhouses, you need a quarter scale spoke shave. You need a quarter scale shooting plane. Why not?
It only makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's their real market. They're marketing to
Every dollhouse needs a doll workshop.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
You've got to build the scale workshop with the scale tools. And
But honestly, even at quarter scale, those tools, that'll be a pretty big dollhouse
yeah.
to fit them to scale. Just
Barbie-sized dollhouse, maybe?
yeah, maybe even bigger.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
they're quarter
holdable
scale,
in
so
they're quarter scale, but they're holdable in the human hand.
Mm-hmm.
A hand will fill a dollhouse bedroom. So you need something slightly bigger.
Okay.
I don't know.
I can do that.
That's a math problem. All right, but dollhouse. I mean, that is super cool. I mean,
Oh, thanks.
I had boys, so I've never thought about building a dollhouse. But the detail that you can go into for some of those things
Mm-hmm.
gets like exponentially deep.
Yeah.
depending
that's
on what you want to do. I've seen basic ones. I've seen very complicated ones, and like it really is. And how creative you want to get. Do you want to wallpaper a dining room in a dollhouse? You can do that.
You can even wire it so there's electricity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Room, right?
Yes.
So yeah, you can get really technical, and then the little miniature furniture, like you can make that yourself. Anyway, I love miniatures. So
yes, there you go.
I was thinking like it would be fun to do like mid-century modern homes and Frank Lloyd Wright homes and like full detail. Those are models, but I mean a dollhouse is basically a model, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it just depends on how crazy you get with it, whether it takes on full-on reproduction model status or not. But yeah, that's the only way I'm ever going to build a house. I think is to build a model of a house.
Yeah, right? Same here. Like,
are you going to frame it up like with stud walls and like paper drywall and
it'll probably just be like a thin sheet of plywood and be like, good enough.
That's good. That's good.
Well, no, from your background, there's got to be a water feature.
Well, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
System and
has a moat with gators.
A moat? Okay.
Kyle.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I can get you some baby alligators. They'll work well for like, a couple of months. And
are they?
Yeah.
Oh, you just flush them down the toilet when they get too big. Don't worry about
it.
Did you ever deal with anything like that in Seattle? Like people putting things down the septics that didn't belong there, or is it all fresh water that you were dealing with, clean water?
I am sure, but I have not heard any stories from my friends.
Okay, good.
Yeah, everything. So
wild.
I know.
All right. So, what is your number one tip for your fellow woodworker?
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Wood grows on trees, so you can always come back and start over. And one of the ways that you're going to get really good at what you're doing is by making mistakes and learning why you made those mistakes.
Absolutely.
I had a mentor who he was like, how I got really good at what I do? Because he's like a Renaissance man and everybody worships the ground he walks on. He's like, I messed up a lot. Now he uses a different terminology, which I don't know I can get away with here on the podcast, but he was like, I messed up a lot. And so he's now like, people worship the ground he walks on because he's so good. He can answer any question. So don't be afraid to make mistakes and learn along the way. That's my number one tip.
That's awesome.
That's a good tip.
I think that's true. No, I don't care what trade, craft, hobby you're going into. The more mistakes you make, yes, it's going to be a bummer when it happens, but you learn. You absolutely learn from those mistakes. You're probably as long as you're a smart individual, not
as long as you're paying attention.
As long as you're paying attention,
there are my fingers. Whoops.
Yeah. Well, those are the major ones. Don't lose your fingers, but you slip with a tool and you realize, maybe I need to sharpen it more, or not push as hard, or understand how to control it better. Those kind of lessons come from those mistakes.
Well, that's the beauty of spoon carving, is it's nice and small, but it teaches you all about grain direction. How to sharp tools and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. That's why I like it.
I've been doing chip carving. I've finally gotten into Daniel Clay's book.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's a great book. Yeah.
And my son is like, Daddy, can you teach me to chip carve? I was like, I'll give you the book. But like, you can't get the knives. The knives that he likes, they're really hard to get in America right now. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I bought mine when I did. I haven't used them, but I bought them.
Well, we can't do tandem chip carving, but he can use my knife. I'll just hand it over for a little while.
Well, let me know. I'd be I haven't used them, and I don't know when I'll get to them. But yeah, if you need some knives, I'll be happy to
send one up, because if you send it to me and you take it back, it'll come back like polished and probably.
Yeah, I haven't sharpened these or anything, so
it's a little bit of work to get them up and running, but I can do that. I can do that for you in exchange for the loan. So
okay, well, check your mailbox in a week or so. Yeah, I got your address. I know where
Henry
you
will
live.
Be very excited. I know where you live.
He's hiding in your bushes.
I hope he's got warm clothes on. There's still snow on the ground out here.
Yeah, it'd be summertime before I was hiding in those.
Before you hide in the bushes. I hope you're wearing tick repellent.
Okay, all right. He can keep those knives for as long as he wants and never get them. Okay. So you might have answered this on our last episode, but what is your go-to finish?
So my go-to finish for just food safe
Yep.
finishes is walnut oil, just a plain old walnut oil you can get at your grocery store. If it's a carved piece and it has no colors or anything, I will just use water locks. But as I was saying in the previous podcast, that it's a little bit labor intensive. I have to wait between coats, but I love the finish and it ages really, really nicely. And then for artistic pieces, golden acrylics, varnishes are my go-to. I absolutely love their line of finishes. And they work really well. They haven't failed me yet. So
okay. Now you said you sprayed those finishes. Is that like rattle can or is it like?
It is rattle can. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have them.
Okay.
Nice.
Gotcha. I didn't know if you invested in an airbrush kit yet or something like that.
There was one in the previous shop I was in, but then I haven't set one up in the shop that I'm in right now, and I've been there a year. I should probably do better, but yeah, no, I don't. I just have a little rattle can and.
Yeah, I occasionally watch these videos like scale modelers do, because I used to do that when I was a kid, and I mean it's like so advanced now. But I'm looking at some of the airbrush techniques that they're doing. I'm going,
oh, I bet.
Yeah, could I actually do that on a Windsor chair? I mean, yeah, you're talking about airbrushing spindles and it's going to take some time.
Right.
But if I'm doing that by brush, it's going to take less time than that. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how else are you going to make it look distressed like a World War II bomber?
Exactly. and what was funny is I was watching your demo that you did for the Texas Woodworking Festival, the demonstration that you did, and you were talking about dry brushing. I'm going, yeah, I know that from my scale modeling days, and a lot of dry brushing and stuff like that. Yeah.
So I was talking to the editor of Popular Woodworking, and I was talking about the dry brushing technique with him. And he's like, I don't mean to brag, but I was a champion dry brusher back in my day. Like, oh, cool.
Oh, really?
Well, with that, Elizabeth, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on my Instagram page at icasa_woodworks. And you can find me on my website, icasawood.work. And do not look me up on Facebook because I am not there.
There you go. Well, thanks so much, Elizabeth, for coming on the show. We had a fantastic time.
Thank you for having me.
It was a fun time. Yes.
Yeah, it was a treat.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great talking to you.
Yep. And that just about wraps it up for this show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show on the podcatcher of your choice. Just search for the Modern Woodworkers Association. And while you're there, please leave us a review. You can follow us on Instagram at MWA_podcast. And if you'd like to support the podcast, go over to patreon.com/MWA podcast. But the best thing you can do is tell a friend. Word of mouth goes a long way in sharing our discussion.